heart in the sea. The ground collapsing under my feet. The fourth time's a charm. This is my fourth time doing this. I know that doesn't sound good vocally, but this is the fourth time I record this. Anyway, hi, this is Daniel with the House of Life podcast. I just wanted to inform you about the podcast you're about to hear with Sarah Love and Justin from the Hurricane Relief. You will be hearing what sounds like music in the background and wind because we were outside in the brewing area for Green Bench Brewery. So yeah, just be aware of that. I did try to edit as much as possible so that it wouldn't sound too bad, but yeah, we can still hear what everyone's saying. So, but anyways, and then the other thing too is that my computer did stop twice during the conversation, so I will give you a segue of what we were literally just talking about so that you understand what was going on. But anyways, enjoy this conversation with Sarah Love and Justin. Bye. Alright, I think we're good. Okay, hi everybody, it's the House of Life podcast. What's
Hello.
up?
What's
and
up?
Like I mentioned earlier, because I think I'll edit that other part out, but we're speaking to Sarah Love.
Hi.
What's up, man?
What is up?
If you're hearing music in the background, it's because there is a live performance happening at Green Bench, so feel lucky to be hearing that at the same time as listening to this conversation.
Yeah.
But it's a Friday night, and we just kind of wanted to have Sarah on to talk about basically what she does here and what she means in my heart to the community of
St. So nice.
Yeah, of St. Pete.
So
and
flattering.
In my life.
It's the truth. So I guess to get started, a question that I have for you is where are you from here? Are you from Florida?
So I'm actually was born in Alachua County, Gainesville.
Oh.
But I went to school in Williston, Florida, which is like a tiny town between Gainesville and Ocala. And then I moved to Tampa right out of high school. Went to fashion school for a year. Then I changed my major to dance. And then I changed my major to business. And then I shifted over to entrepreneurship and marketing and finished that up. And now here I am in St. Pete. I've lived here 3 years in St. Pete. Kind of in Pinellas Park right now, but yeah, St. Pete.
Why kind of? What does that mean? Like 1 foot in, 1 foot out?
Well, like I live in Pinellas Park, but the only thing I do there is like eat really good Vietnamese food
and then you come back
and
here.
I live there, but everything else is in downtown St. Pete. In the Edge District specifically. So
yeah, so I guess I'm pretty sure anyone that's listening to this, they would know what you do, but you promote and you also book the acts that come through at Green Bench. And I guess well shit, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Classic
I'm
Daniel.
I'm here at Green Bench, and I'm booking music and doing the damn thing.
Yeah, I guess my question was more of like, well, I guess first of all, how did you get involved with this, with booking here?
Honestly, it just
Did you
kind
forget?
of. I forgot how it happened and what I was gonna say. No, it's all good. I don't know. Like it just kind of evolved a little naturally. Like I just kind of asked about it. I approached the owners. Like I've been into the Tampa Bay music scene for a few years now. Like it's kind of where my passion is. Like let me help you help this company. Like bring a more diverse crowd here. Like for the love of music. Like I feel like this area has always had a great music scene, and I feel like St. Pete was where it was at, like where it needed to happen more. So.
How long has this been, I guess, open for Green Bench?
5 years. We just had our 5-year anniversary party a couple weeks ago, and I've been here 3 years.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you.
I
yeah.
started booking music like a few months, maybe a year into it, and so it's been like 2 years now. booking the music here, a little over, and it feels like I just started yesterday.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess, like, going more into the future, but like what I see now from it is that this is a spot that most people want to come to, which is pretty cool. And obviously that's all because of your doing. That's your.
So this is the point in the podcast where my computer decided to be a douchebag. I was just finishing basically telling Sarah how Green Bench has now become the destination for not only local acts to perform at, but also touring acts, and it's being more sought out by different artists, which I find awesome, obviously, because it's a great venue to play at. We then go into the different genres of music that have, I guess, gone through Green Bench, and basically what she has found her, like the difficulty of assigning genres to bands that don't necessarily have or know. So that's where we leave off here. So enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Moving on from that.
Yeah, specific genres. It's funny. I'll type out these genres when I'm, creating the event and, the social media blast and the hashtags, and it's like, wow, did that just come out of my fucking mouth? Like genres I feel like I'm just making up, like.
So basically like listening to the music and then saying, "Oh, this is what I think this is."
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
Okay. So you're taking a guess at it.
Yeah.
And then okay. So
it's even funnier when it's like post something. It's like.
What do you mean post something?
It's like
post rock.
Post 90s pop rock.
I think it's funny to post in front of anything because you're like
this is
I don't
like
know this. Like you're taking a whack at it. I don't know. I guess that.
You're like, I think this is this, but it's in the future. Therefore, it's post.
I emailed this band. They never answered me, so I'm going with it.
They don't even know their own genre, so I just made
or they don't even know.
That happens a lot, too, and I'm like, wow, you literally have no info out there about you.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to ask.
Which is fine. You have to dig deep, and I get that. That some people, like, they think that's the method, and that's what works. You make people dig deep, and, good things will come, so it's funny.
I guess, like, that's a cool thing, right? So, for example, I feel like maybe there's a lot of venues that would probably only book bands that are maybe more organized, and I feel like you go deeper than that. Like, you'll actually listen to the music, and if you like it, or if you think that people would like it, you would book them, and that's an awesome characteristic, because I feel like most venues, all they care about, and I'm not trying to start shit or whatever, but it's just the honest truth. But it's just the honest truth. Most venues would probably prefer, like, even if the music is garbage, they just want a band that can bring the most amount of attendance.
Just want the numbers. Yeah, there's people that go by the numbers, that go by just what they know, their regular group of people that come and love, and then there's and then you have the Edge District, which everybody loves everything here. It's so diverse, so it's, my job is easy, but it's also hard.
Yeah, so talk about that. What are the easy parts? What are the hard parts?
So, like, the easy part of my job really is just connecting with new musicians, and I think the most exciting part of my job is finding new music. Like, me in general, I just love finding new music. Like, find some new musician on Spotify I should have found 10 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, I freak out.
Yeah.
And so, with local musicians, I kind of get that same feeling. And it's cool because a lot of them are really young too. Like, you guys are young, and
Thank you. Wow, I've never heard that before.
a few other bands that are young too, and I'm like, I'm gonna follow you guys because I know you're gonna go somewhere. Like, some really cool ass shit's gonna happen to you in the future, and I would love to kind of be at least, nearby when that happens. So it's cool. It's just cool to make connections to really good, talented individuals. If you feed off of that, I feed off of that.
Yeah, and it's super like what you just said. It's such an endearing thing to hear, because I think you've said this before on on a social media post, but you said something that literally most people would never say. And I'm not trying to bring the conversation to us, but it means a lot to me. But you literally say to like, oh, these guys are going somewhere. Like, don't be surprised if they. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah, like don't sleep.
Yeah, it's
so crazy. Like, I wish more people had, like, I wish I could just, like, bottle up this feeling of, like, new music. Like, take the new music drug. Like, and then, you know, people just, you know, roll with that. They're like, oh, new music, yes. Like, and drive directly to it, you know, like a moth to a flame.
The worst part is when people ask me and they're like, oh, what's, you know, give me some new music. And I'm like, I forget. I get so flustered. I'm like, I don't.
There's so much.
Let me go through my account of thousands.
You know, exactly.
That's the crazy thing too, is that I feel like a lot of people nowadays will say that there's nothing new that's good. You know, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and like a big thing that they say is like, I don't even know the new stuff that's good.
I still agree with that though.
No, that's not true though, because honestly, like
hey, fuck you.
Hey, fuck you.
Hey,
no,
fuck you guys.
Fuck you.
Me, fuck you.
But the thing is, it's like, if you're not like you, I think you're in the perfect position where you're promoting, you're booking shows here, and you get to listen to all these local things. But I think, like you're saying, like regardless of you having this position here working at Green Bench, you would still do that. And I just don't know how many people are out there that do that. And I don't know, man. Honestly, I feel like those are the people that we kind of need, to be honest, especially here in our community here in St. Pete and Tampa. You know?
Well, it's nice to have a voice, and like, you know, even if I'm not the one on stage, I would like to be at least behind the scenes, making it happen. You know, I don't have to have my stuff out there. I
have a pretty, like, I guess not like a kind of heady question, but do you feel that way? Do you feel like you are a figurehead in this community?
I mean, isn't everybody a figurehead in some way? I feel like if you're part of a group, like, aren't you sort of like some sort of, hey, I'm representing, like, I'm wearing a Green Bench shirt and I'm wearing an Andrew Gillum hat, and it's like,
well, I guess
I think it's always good to like keep a good representation of yourself, at least. You know, like, you're always representing something, I feel, whether it's just your damn self, you know, at least, you know, what if you have just like one impression and that's it? This is, you know, that's it.
I guess it's more of like, so it's more of, do you realize, like, I feel right now, you're like, what are you about to say, dude? I feel like right now
The fuck are you about to say?
I like, since I've been more involved, like, from my perspective, I feel that the community itself is starting to grow more and more, and I think that you are a big part of the reason why that's happening.
Oh, thanks.
And I'm just stating facts.
That's cool.
That and I mean that though,
I
like
that fact.
Yeah, but I think it's true though.
It's not fake news.
You know,
it's not fake news.
There's a weird thing where I've been contemplating whether or not it would be a good idea for the band to move to a bigger scene, but then I'm like, wait, we're kind of going through a period right now where the scene here is growing. It's like growing significantly and quickly, actually.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So that's fucking, you know, it's and you are one of the reasons why that's happening, you know, and that's a big reason why obviously we want to, you know, have you like talk to you. So
like, in all seriousness, like, how big is your dick?
It's just mediocre. It's just.
That's a good answer.
I don't
like that
brag.
Answer. Not that big.
My boyfriend likes it,
like,
so that's
whatever.
all that matters.
Yeah, I like Ellie's dick too. So it's all
I wish I had
good.
some gangster music playing behind me. Like,
Yeah, just like I'll drop that in.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll drop it
just-
in. It's cool.
Yeah, we should have some buttons like.
Yeah, just like.
Exactly.
Nick, you're not on a microphone right now, so I don't know.
But I agree with the person that you didn't hear. I agree with that.
Okay, so rolling back here. So I guess my other question is, okay, because you were saying the easy parts and the hard parts. So
Yeah.
what is the hard part then?
Okay, yeah. So easy part, new music. Hard part, man. Hard part for me. I don't know.
So I can imagine one
I
thing.
don't really know, to be honest. I think maybe it's just like balancing bartending and, you know, doing shows here. Yeah, like sometimes it takes like a physical toll on me. Like right now, I'm like dead.
You're dead.
But I'm loving it because
Hey,
you guys are
survive.
awesome. The vibe's awesome. It's super chill, and we're drinking good beer. It's all good. Yeah, it's not like hard work right now. But, you know, like I feel like sometimes there is a physical toll.
Okay, so for example, like, okay, so what do you?
But it's super rewarding at the same time. So it's like, can I say that's the hardest part? I don't know.
Well, no, but
don't
you can still have a hard part, but still, you know, considered it
Yeah.
like worth it. You get what I'm saying?
You know what a hard part is for me?
Go for it. Tell me.
Oh,
This
it
is-
just kind of
this is
came
juicy.
to. It was like a come to Jesus moment for me just now. I was like, oh shit. Basically, like, with you just rolling right back to what you were saying about like it's competitive. There's so much music out right now. Like, there's competition, you know, and it doesn't have to be competition. Like, this isn't fucking sports. This is music. Like, people like what they like, and they're gonna migrate towards what they want to migrate towards. But, you know, there's so much good music out right now, and there always has been, obviously. I just feel with a growing population, you know, it's like there's so much good music to pick from, and bands get so excited and hyped when they're just like killing it. And they're like, oh, we're trying to book as many shows as we can. And sometimes it's like 3 in a week or 2 in a week. And I'm like, whoa.
That's not a good idea.
Whoa. You're like, for lack of better words,
Oversaturating, man.
blowing your load. It's like, whoa, dude.
Okay,
So just pump the brakes, like appreciate what's going on right now. Like, it's a juice. You need to like sip that juice.
you ask
like,
that question though too when you book. You always ask that question.
Yeah, well, and more so I do now, and it's almost gotten to the point where I'm like, you need to sign this contract saying you're not booking anything around here. Like, and that's the new thing. You know, like basically just 2 weeks. That's all I ask, like before or after, you know, show date. But it's even just like in St. Pete. Like I was thinking like entire Tampa Bay.
No, you say always St. Pete.
But
You always have said that.
people don't like to cross bridges.
I don't
I'm guilty of
understand-
that.
I don't understand
I'm totally
that.
guilty of that.
What is that about, dude? That's so weird. Like
We all
we live
smoke
in
weed.
we live in Seminole
We're
Heights.
like, we got pizza and beer right
I
here.
literally have a
I don't
coworker
understand it.
who says, Ellie, I love you. I'll go watch you. Just not St. Pete, man. And I'm like, bitch, what the fuck is there in Tampa?
It literally makes no sense
Like,
because
what the fuck is there in Tampa? There's nothing in Tampa. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I would want there to be something in Tampa because that'd be easier on
Well,
my
and sometimes
ass.
there is. There's like a lot of rad shit in Tampa, but it's like you have to like actually want those things in your mind. Like I specifically want to go to the Riverwalk, or I specifically want to go to the
Yeah.
Strass to see a show, or
yeah.
Tampa
Yeah.
Theater for like a rad
St. Pete
thing.
is not that much work, dude. Like, it's really
Yeah.
not. Like, there's
St.
a
Pete's
bill.
tight too.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
it's a tight-
Let's
it's a
all
tight hole.
disband and then
Sorry, that was a innuendo.
no.
But
well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guy. Wait, no. Okay, so because we've had this discussion before with Adam actually from last year.
Adam.
What? Why?
Yeah.
What is this? What is this
That's
whole?
my boyfriend's cousin.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking rad. Holy shit, that's so weird.
I know, it's like a small world.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
is.
I was just texting Adam this morning.
Do you wanna
There's a
sing?
show coming up. Do.
Do you know they're releasing their album tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna be
know.
there.
I'm gonna try to bring a crew of ladies out there.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
dude.
All the
Emily.
All the boobies.
Yeah. Yep. There's boobs,
good
I'm
stuff.
sure.
I'm sure there will be boobs.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be.
No, I'm super duper excited for that. Okay, so all right, so yeah, that's actually another good segue into what the hell is going on in Tampa where there's not that many venues over there. I feel like that's happening right now.
Oh, Lord have mercy. This conversation.
So you've had this conversation before. Enlighten me, please.
Yeah, no, I actually just, I've had this conversation for a couple nights straight now with someone in it. And yeah, there is a limited amount of venues. But it's growing, you know, like Seminole Heights district is growing, and they're adding some stuff, and you know, there's a couple new venues popped up there, and Ybor is always keeping the vibe alive.
Where? But I don't even.
There's Crowbar.
Crowbar, yeah.
There's the Ritz. There's Orpheum.
That's big. That's for bigger venues, though. I mean, for bigger bands. I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is St. Pete is full of like all these free venues. You just walk up and there's good music, and you know, some people don't really care for my role in the music scene because of that, because they're like,
wait,
fuck
who?
you.
Who?
Fuck you. Like,
who says that?
Free shows are bullshit.
Oh my god.
All right, so this is the second cut here from my computer stopping. As you can hear, obviously, we're talking about how people like to talk shit that free shows are happening, I guess, at Green Bench. But we just continue on that kind of conversation here, but from our perspective as a band, in terms of no cover venues and venues that charge, or venues that have a cover, or even venues that have tickets. So, yeah, enjoy the rest of the podcast. Sorry.
Okay. Because this is a topic that I feel heavily on. All right. So.
There's no right choice.
No. There is a right choice. To us, there's a right choice.
Yeah.
So
okay.
this is something.
What's the right choice?
Okay. So.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Oh, I would love
Okay. So from the musician standpoint, don't get me wrong. I think there's a market for bands that can sell tickets, right? If that's what you're doing, if that's what you're trying to do, if you're a larger band, maybe a touring band, for example, that can actually bring people.
I'm sorry. That's easy to do. If you're playing the right music, that's easy to do.
Okay, but we're not even going there though. Let's not even go there.
No, then excuse me.
Let's not even go there. Let's just talk about let's just talk about like logistics as a local band, because the majority of the bands, for example, that play here probably are, in my opinion, they're amazing to me because I fucking like that music.
I really only love original. You know, it's not that I don't only love, but I only bring original artists here.
Well,
like,
also,
it's okay, like a cover or two here and there if you can like make it your own and do it right. But you know, beyond that, like, be original, be you. Like, that's what music is all about.
And diversity, I feel like, is promoted here.
You know, diversity on both sides, like diversity on the stage, diversity in the crowd. You know, like keeping it balanced,
keeping it fresh.
Yeah.
But so basically, what I'm trying to say is like, so we have these venues, for example, that they kind of the audience is dependent on the band bringing them, which I completely disagree with, because for a band like us, for example, and I can use this as an example because whatever, like, we're a band and we play music, that's not necessarily the best outcome for us personally, because we don't have a huge fan base, unfortunately. Like, would I like that? Of course. Does it make sense for me to book a show at a venue that sells tickets when I have a fan base? Yes. Does it make sense right now? No. What makes more sense for us? It makes more sense for us to open up for an act that can do that, right? But there are
that's the beauty of local music. Like, big, you know, kind of like, it's like Baby and a Mama, you know? Like, a mama comes through, and then, like, baby kind of wants to hang on to that mama, you know? Like, nurture, blossom, grow. And, like, I've seen bands do that, though. Like, where they'll like, find this one band that's just, like, peaking the fuck out, and you know, and then they start opening for them. And then before you know it, that band blows up.
Yeah.
And then they're headlining tours. And, you know, it's like,
well, the thing is, okay, so I think...
So it does happen.
But the thing is, it's like, okay... I'm not gonna say any venues right now, but
don't say names.
But there's venues that we have played at before that they obviously expect something that we've been able to do sometimes, but it's not something. For example, Green Bench, we definitely, like, we follow your rule of not having a show 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, and I think that's actually a really good rule. I agree completely with that rule. So we'll bring people, right? But it's not dependent. The night is not dependent on the amount of people we bring. There's just regulars here that enjoy music. Now, a lot of these venues expect you to bring those regulars, and it's like, that doesn't make sense for a local act that doesn't have a following. It just doesn't.
Right.
You know, and we still get paid at the end of the night.
Yeah, everybody still gets paid, and everybody has a good time. That's a good thing, is, like, with the space, you know, like you said, it's a lot of just regulars stumbling upon, and they're like, oh, local music, like, let's chill and drink some more beer, and that, that works out just fine and dandy. But I feel like that was like my first beginning mindset was like, just have some like good chill, like something everyone can relate to kind of music, and then kind of branching out, it was like, oh shit, I want to bring like some stuff that's gonna really bring in like a specific set of people.
Yeah.
Like bring the masses, like bring different masses to Green Bench. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just bringing whoever to Green Bench that wouldn't typically come here. I mean, it's a brewery. Some people don't like beer.
Yeah, I get it.
And they're like, I don't like beer. I don't want to go to Green Bench. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
well, there's music.
yeah, but there's music too. So.
Well, no, I mean, okay, so I guess actually a good point to that would be having, for example, tonight, which you said was punk, right? More punk.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that typically a person would be like, oh, is that a good like genre music to have at a brewery? But I think we're at the point here now, or you are at the point here, not me, because I don't do anything here. I'm just a person that likes likes to come here. But I think you guys are at a point now where you can throw a show like that, and it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And that's fucking dope, like.
Yeah, it's cool. It works. Like, it's interesting seeing the genres that work here, and it makes me happy that those genres work here.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
feel like
so
I'm doing
another
job.
Controversial question, kind of. What do you think? What would be the difference? But what would be the difference between a venue like Green Bench and a venue that doesn't necessarily have regulars but might be more known in the area? What's the difference? Why is that a thing? Why is there a difference between people that just show up to come see whatever is going on that night?
I don't know. I mean, it's cool that we're in like such a good spot where people just walk or just walking around and they see Green Bench or they hear Green Bench and they just migrate to it. And yeah, that's kind of a tight concept to have. Like, you're just stumbling upon something and you find it, and it's like a treasure. It's like a little trinket.
Do you think that I feel like the no cover thing is the best way to go with music, in my opinion.
No cover.
Do you? I mean, I would imagine that you guys would agree.
I feel like it just depends. I mean, obviously, there's certain bands that just would never do a free show, ever.
But the thing is that you guys pay.
Yeah, we pay.
But do you mean like I guess a band that kind of like expects like a certain amount? Is that what you're saying? Without.
Yeah, there's people that ask for guarantees, and that's where I try to work with guarantees. It's not always. It doesn't always happen though. I'd say it's like less than half the time a guarantee works.
That's okay. So that's cool because I didn't know that.
I don't want to put the numbers out there.
Do you? No. You don't have to. No, but that makes me smile because that's actually really cool to know because I don't even know how that process goes. So, yeah.
Eventually, I would like to get there. Like we're opening up a new space next door, like a new tasting room, and that might have a little more space to have like a ticketed spot. But in the meantime, just kind of is what it is.
Well, I mean, I think it's fantastic what it is. I mean, I see what you're saying because you don't want to. Because I was literally thinking like, oh, what's the numbers? What are you talking here? But I guess that he didn't want to say that. But I'm imagining it's got to be. I could think of what it is, at least in terms of what we make a night. But I do find that interesting. So, for example, we played in Miami. And he did ask us what our rate was. We gave him a rate, and he said it's fine. And honestly, it's not crazy amount or anything like that. But I felt like that's something that we've been able to make here, for example, on a night at Green Bench. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and you guys have brought people out, and people have chilled longer because of you, and yeah, definitely a thing.
So I guess What okay, so what do you foresee then in the future of this community here that we have going on?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. It's kind of a crazy world right now. That's how I feel about a lot of things going on, in St. Pete, but also nationally.
Are you trying to get political right now?
No.
Let's get political. Let's do it.
Not trying to get too political.
We would agree on a lot of things, I'm sure.
Yeah, we definitely would.
In terms of like the acts that are not from here, from let's say out of state or maybe even out of city, like how does that? Do they approach you usually, or do you approach them?
Yes, I get a lot of emails, phone calls, texts, mostly emails though, from touring bands, and it's really cool that those numbers have kind of gone up,
increased.
Yeah.
People like know that this is a place to be.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, okay, this is now becoming somewhat of a destination spot for touring bands, and it's linked me with a lot of really cool people like across the country. And I do that with music, and I do that with bartending and dealing with beer, so I have two different worlds going on where I know like
we both know which is cooler. We both know which one's cooler.
Yeah. But yeah, a cool set of people. Like just
No, that's actually
America is really a pretty tight place
to live in. You're saying? Well, okay,
yeah,
so
like it's cool right now. Like I know shit sucks
politically.
I know our president sucks.
Yeah.
I know he's a piece of flaming fucking garbage. But
hey man, I love him.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't fucking.
We're waking up in the morning. We're eating our food. We're driving our cars to work. We got a bed to lay on. If you're listening to this and you don't have that shit,
it's okay.
Just
you can come
email me.
over. Yeah,
just
you can come
email
over.
me and I'll help you out.
Look at us, both
Booking
of us
at greenbenchbrewery.com.
The both of us were on that. Like, oh, you can stay with us. What does that tell you? Okay, so this is actually another interesting question that just popped into my head. But like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and they constantly talk trash about Florida. Like, legit talk trash about Florida.
Yeah.
I
got some shitty people. I'm a lifer. I was born here, went to grade school, went to college, hung around after college.
Yeah.
Now I'm here, and yeah.
I mean, I would say there's no
Florida's
reason.
Florida's fun. It's cool. Like,
it's weird. It is
a
weird.
Party.
Yeah. It's a weird place.
State. Yeah.
Like moving from Miami, which I've like this person to your right, Nicholas. Hi, Nicholas. I know you don't have a mic on you, but I've known him since kindergarten, and we were just talking today. Shit. Yeah. I haven't talked to him in like 5 years or something. Like he just happened to come up this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about Miami and stuff like that, and he went to Fort Myers. I came here from Miami or Tampa, rather, and Miami is such a different vibe. Like literally, there's the majority of people down there are Hispanic. They all speak Spanish, for example, and when we came up to northern Florida or whatever you would call it, it's just it was honestly a culture shock. It's really weird to honestly, it's really weird to experience this.
It's different.
It is different,
it's
yeah.
Different here.
And to hear people talk shit about Florida, go fuck yourself, all right? Because Florida's cool.
Florida is cool, but I can understand people not wanting to live here. It's really hot. It was like 100 degrees this week.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. Yeah.
State in national debate.
Go ahead, say that again, Nick.
It's a top 5 state. Like when you think of the U.S., Florida is always mentioned as in the category of Texas and California.
Yeah, but in reference to what though? Top 5 in what though?
I would say
in coolness.
Primary population.
Okay, that's not that awesome of a stat though. That just means that more people fuck here.
Tourism.
Okay, tourism. That's a good stat.
That's all I got.
There's a lot of fucking people in Florida. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. That's why I moved away from Tampa, because there's too many people.
Really?
And I hate driving, and I was always on that goddamn interstate.
That's so weird, because I feel okay. Well, I guess you don't like in for us, like the reference for us is Miami, and Miami is like so overpopulated. So coming here, it's like nothing.
But Miami's dope.
Do you really like Miami for real?
I mean, I don't know if I would live there.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Wynwood, dude.
Wynwood is cool, but that literally, dude. Oh man, it's so weird. So
Wynwood is whatever.
if you like, we started playing music.
I mean, I only visited for 3 days, and I was
that
good
recent?
with that.
Was recently?
We actually spent Christmas in Miami.
That's pretty
just
cool.
my boyfriend and I. We decided to just do our thing for the holidays.
No, that's fucking tight. Was that recent though?
That was last Christmas.
Okay. Was that your first time down there?
Almost a year ago. It wasn't my first time there, but it was my first time actually hanging for more than a day and enjoying myself, which was it was cool.
It was cool.
I liked it. Yeah, Wynwood was cool. The murals were cool. Went to J. Wakefield, had a couple sour beers.
Did you go to the beach at all?
We did not go to the
beach. It's not that great, to be honest. It's not any better than
beach.
Clearwater or St. Pete, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, we were on holiday. We were kind of just like eating and drinking
just chilling
and shopping.
What'd you think about the food? Did you like it?
Yeah, we went to some meat place. I don't know. I just remember like a lot of meat hanging from the
it was a butcher
rafters
shop? Was
or
it a
something.
butcher shop?
Yeah,
okay.
in Wynwood, something like that. It was good. It was pretty good. And then we went to this other bar that was like a sign that said, like, as soon as we walked in, was like no hand grenades.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
Like, oh shit.
No hand. Well,
and it's like Christmas Eve, and
you should have just bought like a fake one and fun. Brought it. Like, oh, I can't bring this in. Like, I'm here from St. Pete. You fucking asshole.
Hand grenades.
Fuck you, dude. That's what we carry up there all the time.
It's like my pepper spray.
That's how I attack my attackers.
I could totally see Alex. Yeah. Have you seen the stickers around town says don't Lauderdale St. Pete?
Really? Oh, really? Here?
Yeah.
Why? Because people are trying to buy
Condos, jacking up rent for all the small businesses. And, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I just recently went to the sound ordinance meeting, with the city, and it's crazy.
What?
It's
okay.
crazy.
Why is it crazy?
Them trying to enforce this decibel system that's just completely out of whack. Like, this conversation would set off a decibel. Yeah, it's nuts. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen right now. Like, it will never happen. It's just these crazy kooks that are like, oh, I should have done this 28 years ago.
Oh, they're older people.
Well, yeah, it's just like...
Why live here then, dude? Go fucking move somewhere where...
Yeah,
Go to Apollo Beach, bro. Sun City.
You would think that was a thing, but it's not.
It makes no fucking sense, dude. Like, why would you live in a poppin' area and expect...
Crazy.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to be at the next one. Just be like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
It was crazy. It was an interesting experience for sure. I think St. Pete won't let that stuff happen, though. I think we're just, the generations here are young. They have money. Even if they don't have money, like, everybody still has a pretty loud voice right now. And I think that's what's important. Yeah. Speaking of loud voices, can we bring Justin on real quick? Hey, Justin. So during the show tonight, we had a hurricane relief drive, and Justin here, he's with an organization. I kind of brought him on, friend through a friend. Shout out to Roxanne Gallo for connecting us. She's also a badass lady in the music industry too, if nobody knows that.
Yep, she runs the Bolt promotional.
The Bolt.
Yep.
Yeah, so Justin here, you want to talk a little bit about what you've seen? I know you've kind of seen some crazy shit this week. You've been up there. FEMA's kind of not been around. Like, what's going on up in the Panhandle?
Yeah, Mutual Aid Disaster Relief has been doing this kind of stuff since Hurricane Katrina hit. and people realize that the government just leaves those impacted by the storm to fend for themselves, that FEMA is oftentimes ineffective, doesn't show up even though we're paying taxes to fund this organization. They just let people kind of like starve, dehydrate, and expect them to fend for themselves instead of doing their job. So during Katrina, it was a group of people who were in a church in New Orleans that realized that for the sustainable future, people were going to have to organize for themselves and save each other's lives, because this institution that we put faith in is not returning the favor of our faith, right? So it started then, and every hurricane essentially after that, even like earthquakes like the one in Mexico City, other natural disasters, mutual aid disaster relief has been there. I guess the most recent kind of big hurricane that, and I'll say MADR to make it easier, was after Maria in Puerto Rico, and that was like a travesty, that's quite often like brushed over in the local media and the national media as just like a hurricane hit Puerto Rico, no big deal, but thousands of people died. The infrastructure is ruined. It's been gutted, and now the disaster capitalists are moving in to take over the island, which has long been colonized by the United States. And a lot of Puerto Ricans had to move to Florida, some of which I met actually this weekend in Panama City. This couple had moved from Puerto Rico, where they got no FEMA assistance after their livelihood was destroyed, moved to Panama City to an apartment complex that had been destroyed, and they were basically going to become houseless soon, because they were given a 2 days notice to move out of the apartment complex after just paying their rent, with no refund of their rent or their utilities.
Why?
That's just what the apartment complex was telling them. And so now
Wait, aren't there laws against that though?
There are, and we are giving them legal resources, but in the moment, their house, they can't even live in the apartment they're living in, and they're being essentially forced out because they're just going to bulldoze the place. So it's just like one exploitation to the next with these natural disasters. I was in North Carolina as well, and I'm not sure if you heard, like a lot of people looked over Hurricane Florence like it was kind of nothing. But it was a massive flooding hurricane. Like as we were in doing the relief, the rivers are rising to the point where we're getting trapped in one town after another. And I think at this point, somewhere near 60 people have died. There were multiple millions of dollars of claims, and 90% of them, claims to FEMA, I should say, and 90% of them were denied. So these people who lived in North Carolina are now houseless after Florence. In Panama City and all throughout the Panhandle, it's going to be the exact same thing. And this is disaster capitalism at its worst, in my opinion, where people are just going to be forced out of their living situations, receive no compensation from the place that they're living in or the state, and end up just kind of roaming, trying to find somewhere to live. And it's just a vicious cycle, and it's only going to get worse according to recent climate reports.
You're saying it's going to get worse in terms of the weather, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know if you all saw, almost in tandem with this recent Hurricane Michael, was a climate report that was released talking about the massive devastation that will occur by like 2040 at the latest. Previously predicted to be like 2070, maybe 2100. Now it's accelerated to 2040. Who knows if in a year or two they'll come out with their report and be like, oh, it's 2030. Whoops, our mistake. So it's climate disaster is, kind of a rapidly advancing wave that we need to acknowledge, and the people that are going to be dispossessed by it, like already happening by the thousands.
I find it interesting that people, they want not I don't want to, I guess, necessarily say like deny, for example, the climate change or whatever. It's more of based on research, based on the evidence, based on the meta-analysis that we have so far, it's quite obvious that we're making impact. Let's not even go as far to say that it's happening soon, that we're impacting it so abruptly that it's going to be happening in our lifetime. But there is a shift. I've noticed just by living in Florida, for example, about the hurricanes, the severity of the hurricanes, the strength of them. This one that just happened, the one that literally just happened now that hit Panama City, for example, I didn't even hear about it. But when I did, for example, it was, I think, a category maybe 1, and then the next day it was a 4 or something like that. What was it? A 4?
Yeah,
was it a 4?
So it started off as a tropical storm.
Tropical storm.
People went to sleep thinking no big deal. They woke up and it was a category 2. By the end of that day, it was a category 3 approaching category 4. By that time, people are seizing all the water. The gas is gone.
Yeah, it's
hard
not
to
enough
even get
time.
out if you
It's not
want
enough
to.
time
Yeah.
at all.
So
And it was
crazy.
feeding off of Gulf temperatures of 89 degrees.
So I find it extremely I find it crazy that people
Hot ass water.
Yeah, hot ass. Yeah,
Like
that is hot ass.
Super
That is really
ass
hot.
water.
Yeah, we're
The beach has not been enjoyable for months.
Oh, and you talk about the Gulf. Like, the Gulf is destroyed.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
ruined.
we're surrounded by dead shit. Like literally.
Yeah.
Red tide.
And
hello.
that's and that's the other thing too, is that I do think that a majority of the reason of these algae blooms, for example, like the severity of them, are due to fertilizers. But let's also talk about the temperature in the water. I mean, that's a great habitat for algae to grow. I mean, I deal with this specifically at work, for example. And I kind of know that already, just because I have to
Let's
actually.
talk about Rick Scott and Pam Bondi taking fucking money, so all of these regulations just go away and they can pump whatever chemicals they've ever wanted into the Everglades
What do you mean?
for years.
What do you know? What chemicals?
From Big Sugar.
From big what?
Sugar.
Oh, from.
Yeah, sugar.
Wait,
all
so
of our processed sugar cane.
It comes from there, from the Everglades. What? So they have like farming out there?
Yeah. If you
It was
look
like
like
a combination.
look at the Everglades, like.
I don't know this at all.
The
So
map of the Everglades, how it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, even 10 years ago, versus what it actually exists of the Everglades now. It's so sad how much we've lost of it. Like, Florida is literally crippling. It's debilitated. Like, you know, like our Earth that we call home it's sad. It's sad because I've been here my whole life, 30 years. Like, I don't want to leave, but oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
the issue that I find, and I spoke about this earlier actually with my friend Nick here, is that I feel like science and I guess really just environmental policies have been turned into somehow been turned into a political bias, whereas you can't put a political bias on science, for example, and in reference to, for example, climate change, right? I don't understand how exactly that got politicized. I don't know what the I guess you can say as maybe a conspiracy would be that the oil companies don't want solar energy, or maybe whatever those companies are, they don't want that. So maybe that's where it comes from. But I just don't understand how people don't see that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think the narrative is controlled oftentimes by these corporations that essentially own our media and the way it's distributed. At the same time of that climate report, another report came out speaking about the small amount of companies that create 70% of the Earth's carbon emissions. Like,
Okay.
this small amount of corporations create 70%
Which
of our
ones do you
carbon
know?
emissions.
Which ones they are?
Right off the top of my head, I really can't name them all, but it's just like a small group of corporations that produce 70% of our carbon emissions. Meanwhile, when the climate report came out, the media is telling individual people like, oh, ride public transit more, stop doing this, that'll have a big impact, blaming the people instead of the real problem, which are these like
The
polluters.
corporations. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And speaking of what Rick Scott did, what he did is he deregulated the pollution that flowed into the Okeechobee Lake, which, speaking of the Big Sugar, the Okeechobee Lake and River flows down towards these sugar plantations, and they dam them, and they allowed these sugar plantations to dam themselves off from the pollution, and then the pollution ran off into the Gulf. It hit the dam and ran off into the Gulf, and also infected the entire aquifer of Florida. Like, it's not
I
just
heard
like
about
a single,
that, yeah.
And so this is what has led to like a lot of the what they're calling the red tide, but they should call like the red and black tide or something like that, because it is like a combination of a natural occurrence, which is the red tide, and widespread pollution that's affecting our Gulf. Because we started talking about climate change, I didn't really get to talk about Panama City or what I've seen in disaster zones recently.
Yeah, go for it.
I would like to talk about that a little bit. So in Panama City, FEMA is not there. They're based in a few camps like on the outskirts, telling people that they have to get to them. Meanwhile, they've had trees fall on their cars. They don't have gas or means to get around. They don't even have the power to charge their cell phone to find out where these facilities are. This thing that we pay for is like not functional. Meanwhile, when we are going into town to deliver supplies, we delivered a box truck of supplies to these people who needed it in Panama City. There were ICE and Border Patrol and DHS vehicles cutting off people, blocking traffic, disrupting the flow of traffic of people getting in to go and, maintain law and order in the city, which I thought was a really horrible use of our resources. And right at the beginning of hurricane season, actually the Trump administration, I think, transferred about $10 million to ICE from FEMA. Without anybody's approval, it was just like this executive decision. So you're seeing the effects of this like fascist-based administration when it comes to like prioritizing, attacking people instead of helping people who really need it.
Wait, so are you saying that you don't like the current administration?
I haven't liked any, let me make this clear, I haven't liked any administration in the history of the United States of America. But that's my thing.
I'm just teasing you, man. I'm right there with you, bro, to be honest.
But I'm just saying along the lines, I'm not like partisan. I don't like any of them. And I think it's because of this toxic system that we find ourselves in the place that we're in. Like, I am an anti-capitalist. I'm a staunch anti-capitalist because of this issue. Because we see that over and over again, the needs of the few are put in front of the needs of the many. And this is a situation that's occurring in disaster zones currently. They're prioritizing the needs of these fascists to go and attack innocent people who are just trying to make a living in this country, just like our parents or grandparents or great-grandparents did, and putting that in front of people who are starving in their homes and dehydrated and who really need help. So this is a perfect metaphor.
Well, I guess going back to FEMA, what do you think is going on there? Why do you think that? Why are they not more? Why is FEMA not as successful? What's going on? Why are they not helping more? What's going on?
I think the prioritization of funds aren't there, and I think also just the general.
So give me more. Okay, so.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly are you seeing from that group, that organization? What exactly do you see from them? Like
so
in that example?
I see them doing the easiest thing that they can do.
Like what? What would that be?
Setting up different bases around the outskirts of the city and telling people, you come to us when people are trapped in their homes. People are trapped on their streets. People don't have vehicles anymore. They've been destroyed by floodwater or by debris. And being like, you come to us, and then when you come to us, you have to show us your ID to get like a couple of bottles of water and food. Meanwhile, this grassroots group that I'm with, Mutually Disaster Relief, is bringing a box truck into the fucking city. Sorry to
No, you can curse as much as you want.
Yeah, but bringing a box truck into the fucking city and giving these people who need it what they need. Even the Red Cross, this is a $3.4 billion organization.
Why do you need an ID? Why would you need an ID for water?
They're doing that all around. They're doing
why?
that all
But for
around.
What's the purpose?
So they can scan people. So they can be like, oh, if you're not who we want you to be, we can put you in jail. We can deport you. We can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a way of enacting fascism under the shield of environmental disaster.
That's fucking shitty, dude.
Yeah.
No offense with that. Well, no, I don't give a fuck actually. But no, that's fucking shitty.
That's another aspect of disaster capitalism that's only going to get worse and worse. When I see these like Border Patrol vehicles rolling through fucking Panama City instead of FEMA vehicles, I'm like, this is disaster capitalism, because they can do this in the shadows when people are panicking about the disaster. They can just go and like pick people up, put people in jail. I was told by one guy we were giving supplies to, he was like, a guy stole a Snickers bar because he was hungry, and they took him to jail. It's like, you don't have to take that. You just take the Snickers bar back. He's starving because he's in a disaster zone. But this is a perfect example of the way this system operates.
Do you find, okay, so what would be giving these people, because I would imagine like someone that would work in that organization, they would want to, like, I would at least hope that their purpose would be to help people. What would be the incentive, for example? Like, have you actually witnessed people being arrested for that, for example? Like,
I didn't witness it in person. I was just told
you were just told these stories, okay.
And the incentive of the government, obviously, and DHS and ICE to ID people when they come to get supplies is to criminalize them, and they make a lot of money off of that.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that would be a great scenario of saying, oh, you're not from here, you're an immigrant, well, peace, dog. Like,
Yeah.
I could see that for sure.
And that's all of us. Like, every single one of us have a family member or somebody who's not come from this country, who wasn't born here. We're not all Native Americans.
I am of Cuban descent, sir. So
Yeah.
I'm right there with. She is Colombian, Ecuadorian. He is
Yeah.
Cuban. So yeah,
Good.
we're.
I think maybe I have some allies in this chat.
Oh yeah, we're all three of us are from Miami, but yeah, we definitely. I think we're probably all. Yeah, I think we're all first generation, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all first generation. Yeah. So what exactly are you guys doing then out there? For example, that's because I obviously, like, just based off what you just explained to me, FEMA's not doing shit. So
Yeah.
obviously you guys are doing
let me
more.
tell you, the Red Cross, we were we were going to a lot of government subsidized housing there to deliver relief. The Red Cross rolls up. This is a $3.4 billion organization. They're giving people one burger and one soda each. That's their form of relief. Meanwhile, we're giving like flats of water, baby supplies, hygiene supplies, first aid, food, and we're a grassroots organization.
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
Where's the money going with all these organizations that are supposed to be helping people? The CEO of the Red Cross makes on paper $500,000 a year, but who knows how much he makes from, like, yeah, it's a joke. They get money, they go to Haiti after a storm or an earthquake, and they build like 3 houses, and they're like, after they just like received $1 million in donation, just take the rest and hustle it. So this is the importance of grassroots organizing like mutual aid disaster.
So I was gonna ask you how can regular people help you? Like, how can your your vision be helped in general? How can we do that?
Cool. Yeah. So mutualaiddisasterrelief.org is a great resource to see what we're doing. You can see basically like all of our blog posts, news updates, the things that are happening on the ground. Right now in Panama City, the first crew that went up this last weekend that I was with, we delivered a box truck of supplies to people, established connections, and also set up, a base of operations in Panama City at the United Universalist Church there. So there's still no power there, so people who are staged there have no power, have a toilet that they have to fill to use, like fill the top of it and use it, then go get more water and fill it back up. They're trying to get like some porta potties and stuff. But we do have a base of operations there. On top of that, there are still people that are established in North Carolina. After Hurricane Florence, we were in Wilmington, and people were having small craft airplanes fly in when nobody else could get in with mutual aid disaster relief, and unloading them with box trucks and bringing them to people. So this is like a very serious organization now, and it's actually making FEMA look really bad, because when they're not there, we will go to people and help them. So how people can help is go to mutualaiddisasterrelief.org. There's a donation option, or you can contact, and if you live in Florida, you can just go up there and just contact them first, go up there, meet up with people at the church, and start doing relief work.
And do you guys accept people to come and help the organization and stuff like that, like volunteers, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
just
basically,
make contact first.
So basically, if you want to help donate, or if you want to just help the organization itself, just contact you directly, and you guys will, I guess, direct them to whatever they can do, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
mutualaiddisasterrelief.org.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll actually have that link on the on the post and whatnot. So yeah, just I guess send that to Sarah and she'll send it to me, or send it to me directly. That's cool.
Cool.
But okay, so before we go though, can we get some good stories then of what you've I guess some great experiences you've had? I mean, I know like it's pretty dreary and maybe it might be negative, but I'm sure there's some positives out there. Can you give us some? Can you give us an example of a positive experience?
Yeah. It's sad. I don't know if it'll come across as positive, but there was a couple this past weekend in Panama City, and they lived in government subsidized housing. We went to those places because we knew they would need the most help, and we were handing out supplies from the box truck to people who were coming up who needed water and food. And we didn't have much gas, but it was towards the end of our trip, and there was a couple that talked about needing gas. So we gave it to them, and we went to their house to talk to them, and the husband was essentially dying of cancer on the couch, and the wife was just trying to take care of him, and the local hospital had been destroyed. But we hung out with them and kind of opened up the curtains and let the breeze come in and helped them feel a little bit better. And she was just so appreciative that we had not only brought food and supplies, but she was like, I would never thought that somebody would have brought us gas to take him to go somewhere and go get help, and was just crying, and we all held each other, and to me that was a beautiful moment. I don't know if it's uplifting or happy, but
No, it's beautiful, man. That is beautiful.
It's something where
you should be proud of that, bro. For real. I'm not just saying that, but you should. That's really nice. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
If it might be a weird thing to say, but if you were to die today or tomorrow, you should feel happy that you were able to experience that. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge. Not
And I mean that in
everybody
the extreme positive way. That might be a weird way of saying it, but
does that. You're accomplished. You've accomplished what a lot of people cannot accomplish.
yeah, that's really cool,
That's
man.
huge.
And I will say that we should all try to do this more. If you have a
Yeah.
weekend off, if you have a 3-day weekend, go and find out how you can help people, because there are so many people hurting, so many people who need an extra hand and just somebody to show that they care about them. And it's always there.
Yeah, we definitely need that right now, especially in the current climate in our country. We need to go back to helping each other out, and because it's dude, we're all the same, man. Regardless of what our political beliefs are or whatever, blah blah blah. But we're all fucking humans, and I think at the end of the day, most people just care about, the fact that if you're in a rut. Would you help me out, man? And I feel like the majority of people in this country would probably be like, yeah, I'll help you out,
Yeah, it's amazing how well we come together when shit goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just, not to go off topic, but that's the crazy thing unfortunately about war. We fucking have a war against someone, and then all of a sudden we're all united. It's kind of shitty to think that that's something that unites us, but I mean, that's something that people say all the time about New York after 9/11, that New York was one of the fucking chillest places after 9/11. It's why can't we just be like that all the time? Why can't we just be caring to each other all the time?
Yeah, I'm definitely an anti-imperialist, so I don't agree with war whatsoever.
Wait, you don't like killing people?
Yeah.
Are you serious, bro?
But it would be interesting if we could, kind of invert that energy of war to, empathy and seeing when people are hurt and going to help them.
Empathy is important. It's so important.
I feel like
that's one of the things I look for in a human being. Do you have empathy? Okay, you're a good person.
Yeah, and it's weird. I don't know. I feel personally, I just feel the current, maybe in social media and whatnot, and just what's more attractive to people is kind of being non-empathetic, in my opinion. Just being more self-centered. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. This might be a bad example with the Kardashians and shit like that. It's just, I don't know, man. I can't stand that shit,
dude.
dude.
That's a tool of, I think this system that's very corrupt is just the self-centeredness, the egoism, the I am who I am, so nobody else matters. And it's not the reality of life. Like, we wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for like us participating with each other and helping each other. And for some reason, this new like kind of situation we found ourselves in has convinced us otherwise. But the reality is, like, we need each other and we need to be there for each other all the time and not get wrapped up in our own like social media.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is that it's something so new that we haven't been able to grasp it. We haven't been able to control it. We haven't been able to I think there's such a disconnect on social media that people are so comfortable saying the most ridiculous things to another person, the most hurtful things, for no reason really, or not even for no reason, but more of like just because you have a differing opinion, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's, I don't know, it's super strange to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but I think ultimately, like, if you were in front of that person and it's like, oh, if I was in trouble, would you help me out? That person would probably help you out.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's lost on people nowadays. It's weird. It's a strange sensation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To feel that, but
I agree.
But regardless, thank you, Justin, for being on. Thank you, Sarah, for coming on. This was a pretty productive talk, and yeah, man. Fuck off. No, I'm just kidding. No. I love everybody.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
It was a great night. Thank you, Justin, for coming out tonight. And yeah, we're going to do what we can for your organization.
And like I said, I'm gonna post all that stuff on our links on the YouTube channel and on our
get the links
Facebook.
going. Maybe get some money flow, get some revenue in, so we can.
Yeah, basically
get you guys some
whatever
tools there.
whatever you guys can do, that would be fantastic. But again, thank you guys, and hopefully we can have this conversation again.
All right.
Peace.
Thanks, y'all.
Yee.
Find myself in